They had never seen anything like it. A massive silverback gorilla, one of the most powerful and intelligent primates on Earth, was displaying behavior that left zookeepers completely baffled. He was sitting alone in a section of his enclosure, making gentle gestures to the empty space around him, but what the security cameras revealed was something that would devastate everyone who witnessed it. Because in that moment, in the quiet solitude of a modern zoo habitat, thousands of miles from the Congo, rainforest instinct turned into something else, something we rarely acknowledge in captivity: loyalty, remembrance, and a kind of devotion that transcends even death. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel, hit like and turn on notifications, because the story you're about to hear will make you question everything you thought you knew about gorilla intelligence and the bonds that define their social world. The Atlanta Zoo's gorilla forest was home to one of the most celebrated western lowland gorilla troops in captivity. The facility housed 12 gorillas in a lush 4-acre habitat designed to replicate the dense rainforests of Central Africa, complete with towering trees, cascading waterfalls, and multiple elevated platforms that encouraged natural climbing and foraging behaviors. Dr. Sarah Williams had been the senior primatologist at the Atlanta Zoo for over 18 years and had developed profound relationships with each member of the gorilla troop. She had earned her doctorate in primate behavior from Emory University and had spent 4 years studying wild gorilla populations in Gabon before dedicating her career to captive gorilla research and conservation. The Atlanta troop was exceptional for their complex social dynamics, individual personalities, and the deep emotional bonds they had formed over years of living together. The group was led by Congo, a magnificent 28-year-old silverback who stood nearly 6 feet tall and weighed over 400 pounds. Despite his imposing size, Congo was known for his gentle temperament, remarkable intelligence, and devotion to his family. The troop included several adult females: Kessie, a 22-year-old who served as Congo's primary mate and the mother of 4 of his offspring; Amara, a 19-year-old female known for her playful nature and exceptional problem-solving abilities; and Jengo, a 17-year-old female who had joined the troop 3 years earlier and had quickly integrated into the complex social hierarchy. There were also 5 juveniles and adolescents ranging in age from 3 to 12 years old, each with distinct personalities and roles within the family structure. The youngest members included 2 3-year-old twins named Kito and Kisi, along with their older siblings who served as both playmates and protectors. But it was Congo's behavior over the past month that had Dr. Williams deeply concerned and searching for answers. The silverback had begun spending increasingly long periods in the northeastern section of the enclosure, sitting alone in an area that had previously been a favorite gathering spot for the entire troop. Congo would position himself in the exact center of a small clearing, surrounded by artificial rocks and vegetation, making soft vocalizations and gentle hand gestures toward the empty space around him. He would pat the ground beside him, as if inviting someone to sit down, would share imaginary food with invisible companions, and would even engage in what appeared to be grooming behaviors directed at nothing. At first, Sarah thought Congo might be displaying some form of stress-related behavior or early signs of illness. She called in Dr. Michael Torres, the zoo's head veterinarian, for a complete health evaluation. Blood tests revealed that Congo was in perfect physical condition, with no signs of disease infection or neurological problems. But the silverback's unusual behavior escalated over the following weeks. Congo began carrying objects to the clearing, including his favorite enrichment toys, pieces of fruit, and even special treats that he would normally consume immediately. Instead, he would carefully arrange these items around the perimeter of the space, as if creating some kind of offering or memorial. Most remarkably, Congo started displaying protective behavior around the empty clearing, becoming agitated if other troop members approached too closely, and positioning himself as a barrier between the space and any perceived intrusion. This was completely out of character for a gorilla who had always been inclusive and welcoming with his family. The veterinary team was puzzled. Congo showed no signs of mental illness, cognitive decline, or behavioral disorders. Yet he was obviously devoted to maintaining some kind of vigil in an area that appeared to hold no special significance. All diagnostic tests came back normal, and the gorilla's physical health remained excellent. It was Detective Carlos Mendez, a security specialist who worked with the zoo's advanced surveillance system, who suggested conducting a comprehensive review of the archived footage that monitored the gorilla habitat 24 hours a day. The Atlanta Zoo maintained state-of-the-art surveillance technology, with dozens of high-definition cameras positioned throughout the exhibit. Carlos had been working with zoo security for over 12 years and had extensive experience analyzing behavioral footage for research purposes and incident investigation. The cameras had documented thousands of hours of gorilla social interactions, providing valuable insights into primate behavior and family dynamics. What they discovered when they reviewed footage from 8 weeks earlier provided a devastating explanation for Congo's mysterious behavior and left the entire staff emotionally shattered. The security cameras had captured a tragedy that had occurred during overnight hours, when no staff members were present in the gorilla area. The footage showed that Congo's 3-year-old son Quito, one of the beloved twins, had suffered what appeared to be a sudden medical emergency while playing in that exact clearing where Congo now maintained his vigil. The high-definition cameras captured every heartbreaking detail as little Quito collapsed suddenly while engaged in typical juvenile play behavior with his twin sister. The youngster had been climbing on the artificial rocks when he suddenly fell and remained motionless on the ground. Congo's response was immediate and desperate. The massive silverback rushed to his son's side, gently lifting the small body and cradling Quito against his chest. He made soft vocalizations, trying to rouse the unconscious youngster, and used his massive hands to gently stimulate breathing and circulation. For over 6 hours, the footage showed Congo maintaining a constant vigil over his son, refusing to leave Quito's side. Even when the rest of the troop tried to approach, he would gently move Quito to different positions, hoping to find one that might help the youngster recover. He brought water in his cupped hands, attempting to help his son drink. The other troop members gathered nearby, displaying obvious distress and concern, but respecting Congo's protective behavior around his injured offspring. The adult females made soft, comforting sounds, while the older juveniles maintained a respectful distance, clearly understanding the gravity of the situation. Despite Congo's devoted care and the obvious love he poured into every gentle touch and encouraging vocalization, Quito never regained consciousness by dawn. The little gorilla had died peacefully in his father's arms. What happened next provided unprecedented documentation of gorilla grief and paternal devotion that challenged everything scientists thought they knew about primate emotional capacity. Congo refused to accept that his son was gone. He continued to hold Quito's body, making gentle sounds and attempting to encourage movement or response. For 3 days, the security footage showed Congo maintaining his vigil, never leaving his deceased son's side. The massive silverback would gently groom Quito's still form, position the small body in comfortable sleeping positions, and even attempt to share food as if the youngster might suddenly wake up hungry. The zoo staff eventually had to intervene using mild sedation to allow veterinarians to remove Quito's body for examination and proper care. But when Congo awakened to find his son gone, his behavior became even more heartbreaking and desperate. The footage showed Congo searching frantically throughout the enclosure, calling for Quito with the specific vocalizations that gorilla fathers use to summon their young when the silverback couldn't locate his son. He returned to the clearing where Quito had died and began the memorial behaviors that had puzzled the staff. Dr. Williams felt overwhelming grief as she watched the footage. She had worked with gorillas for nearly 2 decades and had witnessed births, deaths, and complex social dynamics, but she had never seen such profound paternal grief. The cameras had captured something that redefined understanding of gorilla emotional capacity. The veterinary examination revealed that Quito had suffered a rare congenital heart defect that had gone undetected. Despite regular health monitoring, the condition was virtually impossible to diagnose without invasive testing, and the sudden cardiac episode that claimed the youngster's life could not have been prevented. The zoo staff realized they were dealing with an unprecedented situation in primate care. There were no established protocols for helping a gorilla process the loss of offspring, no research literature on supporting great apes through bereavement, and no guidelines for managing paternal grief in silverback gorillas. The team made the compassionate decision to allow Congo to continue his grieving process undisturbed. They modified daily routines to respect his memorial space and provided extra enrichment and emotional support for the entire troop, who were obviously affected by both Quito's death and Congo's ongoing grief. Dr. Torres consulted with primatologists and animal behaviorists from around the world, sharing the footage and seeking guidance on supporting Congo and his family. Through their loss, the response from the scientific community was immediate and profound. Researchers recognized the footage as the most detailed documentation of paternal grief in captive gorillas ever recorded. Word of Congo's story spread throughout the international primatology community, Animal behaviorists from institutions worldwide requested access to the footage to study this unprecedented example of grief processing in great apes. The documentation became invaluable for understanding gorilla emotional complexity and developing better support systems for primates experiencing loss. Dr. Elizabeth Hamilton, a specialist in primate cognition and emotion from Harvard University, called the footage revolutionary evidence of paternal bonding and grief processing in gorillas. Congo's behavior demonstrates emotional depth and cognitive complexity that challenges fundamental assumptions about primate consciousness and family relationships. The zoo faced difficult decisions about sharing Congo's story with the public. There were concerns about how visitors might react to learning about Quito's death, and whether the story would be too emotionally devastating for families who visited for education and entertainment. Ultimately, the staff decided that Congo's profound demonstration of love and loss was too important to keep private. They created a sensitive educational program that honored Quito's memory while highlighting the remarkable emotional depth and family bonds that exist in gorilla societies. The response from visitors was immediate and overwhelming. Thousands of people shared Congo's story, expressing their recognition of the universal nature of parental love and grief. Many visitors began leaving flowers, toys, and handwritten notes near the gorilla exhibit, creating an impromptu memorial that grew larger each day. Children wrote letters to Congo telling him they understood his sadness and hoped he would feel better. Adults shared stories of their own experiences with loss, expressing admiration for the depth of Congo's devotion to his son's memory. Elderly visitors spoke about the power of parental love and the importance of honoring those we have lost. Slowly, over several months, Congo began to show signs of healing. He started spending more time with the rest of his troop, particularly with Casey Quito's twin sister, who seemed to provide comfort through their shared loss. He resumed normal feeding behaviors and began participating in the social activities that were essential for troop cohesion. But Congo never abandoned his memorial clearing even years later. He would spend part of each day in that northeastern corner of the enclosure, sometimes bringing offerings, sometimes just sitting quietly in obvious remembrance. The sight of the massive silverback maintaining his paternal vigil moved countless visitors to tears. The zoo developed comprehensive educational programs about gorilla emotions, family structures, and grief, using Congo's story to help people understand the complex emotional lives of great apes and the striking similarities between human and gorilla family bonds. 2 years later, when Casey gave birth to another infant, Congo displayed even more protective and devoted parenting behaviors, as if Quito's loss had deepened his appreciation for the precious nature of family. But he continued his daily visits to the memorial clearing, demonstrating that healing didn't require forgetting. Veterinary schools and primate research programs began incorporating Congo's case study into their curricula, teaching future animal care professionals about recognizing and supporting great apes through emotional trauma. The footage became essential viewing for students studying primate behavior and zoo animal welfare. The story inspired changes in zoo practices worldwide, with facilities developing new protocols for monitoring young primates, providing enhanced medical screening, and recognizing grief behaviors in animals who had experienced family loss. Years later, Congo continued to serve as a powerful example of the emotional depth and family devotion that exists in great ape societies. His story had changed how people viewed gorilla intelligence and had contributed to improved care standards for primates in captivity around the world. If this heartbreaking story of a father's endless love and the enduring power of family bonds touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button and share it with someone who believes that love, grief, and remembrance transcend all species boundaries. Sometimes the deepest loss reveals the strongest love, and sometimes the most powerful memorials are maintained, not with monuments but with daily acts of remembrance. Congo taught the world that paternal devotion knows no limits and that the bonds between parent and child endure even beyond death itself.